All right. This is Willa Amai, and we're creating madness with madness through creation.
Audio Jungle.
Welcome to the first ever podcast from Madness to Creation. I am so excited that you're listening. I'm about ready to jump out of my skin right now. I am so excited. The first artist that we are going to have on here, between her 2 music videos, not to mention her millions and millions of Spotify streams, she has a combined 700,000 hits between the 2 music videos so far for Trampled Flowers and Unorganized Crime. This artist is 16 years old. She has appeared on the Ellen DeGeneres Show. She has appeared on the Today Show, and she has duetted with Brandi, Carlile, and Dolly Parton. And I would kill to have Brandi Carlile on the podcast. Brandi, if you happen to stumble across this and listen, I would love to have you on even just for 3 minutes. Even just to say hi. Even just to say, hey, what's up, Brandi? And I would love that more than anything. Anyways, I digress. I'm going to give you the rundown on what this podcast is about. This podcast is about feeling good. It's about getting through the challenges and the obstacles in your life. It's about letting you know, through your tears and through your despair, that you are not alone in this world. Whether we dive into songs, whether we dive into bands and recording artists and just pay tribute to them, whether we review music, whether we talk to artists, whether we talk to you even. I want to hear your story. I want to hear what is the soundtrack to your life. What songs have gotten you through? What albums have gotten you through? What bands, what recording artists have gotten you through? I would love to hear that more than anything, you guys. Please email me at madnesscreation@gmail.com if you are interested in being on the podcast. I would love to hear from you. We are going to have some very special guests coming up on Madness Creation Podcast. We're going to have Hyro the Hero. He is an incredible hip-hop artist and rapper. Hip-hop artist and rapper, the same thing, but anyways, he has songs released with Hell Yeah, Disturbed, and Hollywood Undead. Now I'll tell you what, he is one of the most genuine, cool dudes you could ever talk to. I cannot wait for you to hear this conversation with him. It was one of those conversations where I was just a buzz after talking to him. We're also going to have Richard of Aviations. We're going to have some sound clips from Icon for Hire. We're going to have an interview with Ra coming up. Ra is making this awesome comeback. Do you call my name? Anyways, it's time for you to learn a little bit about Willa Amai. She was signed to a contract by Linda Perry of the 4 Non Blondes. And I wake in the morning, I step outside, I dig a little deeper, and I get real high. That band, the 4 Non Blondes. That song is so iconic. It has almost 1 billion hits on YouTube. And for good reason. It's such a good song. I mean, I remember sitting there as a 12-year-old boy, and just the song would bring tears to my eyes. Because I wonder to this day, what is going on in this world that we live in today? And Willa Amai delivers a haunting cover of this song. And like I said, she has millions of streams already on Spotify. Between her 2 music videos, she has over 700,000 hits on YouTube. She is on her way, and she's only 16 years old. I remember working at McDonald's when I was 16 years old. And here she is with the help of her supporting family and getting through what she needs to get through in her life. She's making a difference in the music community and for teenage girls and for anybody who wants to get into music around the world. I love having this artist on because she's a difference maker. And how are you going to make a difference in your life? What steps do you need to take? I know what steps I need to take. I want to be a more positive person. I know it's really hard given the year 2020 with the pandemic, civil unrest, systemic racism, and all that stuff. I know it's really hard. But I'm trying to get myself educated. I'm trying to use this to even make a small difference and just bring a smile to somebody's face. If I do that, I've done my job. I'm not about numbers. I mean, yes, I would like to have everybody in the world listen, but I'm about that person that just needs a shoulder to cry on or somebody to listen to. And just know at Madness Creation, this podcast is about those feel-good moments. It is about those songs, that soundtrack to your life. I would love to talk to you. madnesscreation@gmail.com if you would like to be on the podcast. I can fit you in somewhere. Because we're gonna have album reviews. We're gonna have tributes to artists that are near and dear to my heart. A couple of the artists I'm gonna be talking about is The Outfield and Linkin Park. I cannot wait for you to listen to this. Without further ado, here is my conversation with Willa Amai. Take away, Willa. Get the recording going, and the recording's basically it's going to be transcribed not only for a written part, but it's also going to be going on a podcast as well. So basically, Madness Creation, we talk about our tagline for Madness Creation is where mental health and music merge and stuff like that. And we kind of use this as a platform to talk about mental health along with your music, of course. So first of all, yeah, absolutely. So first of all, how are you doing coping like with COVID-19, everything going on in this crazy world?
I think, I've been put in an incredibly lucky position, and I try to be thankful for, what I have every day. My outlet is music, obviously, and a lot of people lost their outlet when COVID hit, but I still get to do what I need to do to stay mentally healthy. So many people didn't get that. And, I'm trying to be lucky for that every day, as well as the fact that I have a family around me who, we are really close and they support me with everything I do. And, to have that network of support has definitely had, positive consequences on my mental health. So I think I have every possible chance to be coping as well as I can. So I'm really trying to be grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have a lot to be grateful for as well. You mentioned a supportive family. So how big of a role has like your family played in developing and you developing as an artist and as a musician?
My family, they've always been my biggest fan. My little sister especially. I have a sister who's 2 years younger than me named Harper. And she is just the most incredible person. And so even before she really understood what I was doing, even when we were really little, even before she understood what songwriting really was, I was songwriting at a very young age, but she has supported me to the ends of the earth. And so I think her, and then in tandem with my parents, who I've always had such a great respect for in the way that they raised me and my sister, because they always sort of treated us as equals. And so to have their support in this endeavor as well, I think really gave me confidence in my ability, and also sort of helped me acknowledge, like, at the end of the day, if this doesn't work out, if worst case scenario, I have these incredible people behind me who will catch me if I fall. And then as far as my development as a songwriter, my family loves music. Whether they just play, my little sister plays the cello, and my mom used to play the piano. Whether it's playing music or just sort of being a connoisseur of music, as my father likes to call himself, they've always just loved, for their own enjoyment, the fact that I love music and love to create music. So I think that they've helped me to grow, thus far, less as a business savvy musician, and just really kind of brought out the emotion in my songs.
Oh, absolutely. And I was going to say, I just listened to your latest single, Speaking the Emotions, in your song called Unorganized Crime. And I absolutely appreciate the raw, honest emotions that were in the music. And it kind of had a melancholy feel to it as well. And and that was released in October. And just if you could just take us into that song and the music video, and like I said, the emotions behind it are just absolutely captivating. So kudos to you on that.
Thank you so much. I love to hear that. That really is the best compliment. And Unorganized Crime is different from all my other music that's out and all my other music that I've ever written, really, for a couple of reasons. As far as it's different from the other things that are out, I think that song is the best representation thus far of my songwriting style. I've had such an amazing, but albeit eclectic collection of things that I've done so far, duet with Dolly Parton, a cover of a Daft Punk song for a global QuickBooks campaign. I mean, these were incredible opportunities, but, none of them were really me truly writing for myself. And so this was the first song that was really like that. And so I think it's different than all those songs because it really begins to define who I am in the music industry. I wrote it in a different way than I've written any other song. The thing that it's about is when I was younger, I really thought that I was going to be rebellious. Like I thought that I was some rebellious soul that was going to break free one day of the confines of societal norms. Like I would listen to Lana Del Rey and just cry. Like, but the truth is I'm not rebellious. I'm square. And I like rules. I like structure. And so as I came to sort of accept that I was never going to be what I thought I was going to be, I wrote this song sort of in memoriam of that idea of myself, writing it, imagining what it would have felt like if I had grown up to be that unattainable image. I imagined everything that scares me, whether it's something concrete like drugs or alcohol to something more abstract, just the idea of being free, I guess. I think, those scare me in all reality. So I pretended like they excited me. And so that's where the song came from.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good depiction of the song and stuff like that. So you talked about having like some type of structure in your life. How important is it for you as a musician, whether you're in the studio or something like that, to have that routine and have that structure when you're crafting your music?
I think the reason why music is my outlet is that music is the place where I'm loosest with my structure. Like I have a very meticulous planner and I get very anxious when the timing of something changes. So, my day is planned down to the minute ultimately, but music is the one thing where I can be freer, and that's why I think I can get out all the bad stuff with music. So when I make music, it's only in that moment that I can forget about time and about my planner and about school and everything that's happening in the world. And so, yeah, I need structure, but probably to an extent that maybe isn't healthy. So I think music is my savior a little bit in that respect.
Absolutely. And would you consider yourself a perfectionist in the studio?
I think I definitely used to be. When I first started working with Linda Perry, my producer, I was definitely a perfectionist. She has videos of me, we filmed ultimately the whole series of recording that we did when I first started working with her at 12 and a half. And so she has video evidence basically of me recording my own songs, and my back is straight like a wooden plank, and my elbows were rigid, and I was so scared of messing up. But what working with Linda has taught me is that being a perfectionist can sometimes sacrifice the emotion. So that's definitely been toned down a little bit, because now I understand how important it is to prioritize, honesty and emotion in recording music as opposed to perfectionism.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how did you get linked up with Linda Perry? I mean, she's legendary. So how'd you get linked up with her?
I actually met her through a mutual friend. So if you know Soleil Moonfry from Punky Brewster, my mom.
Okay.
Yeah, so her and my mom are actually really great friends. And so Soleil knew Linda through Sarah, her wife. And
wow.
so when I was 12 and a half, Soleil called Linda and was just like, and she's just the sweetest person ever. She was just like, oh, please be an angel and just talk to her and give her advice and whatever she said. And, that's all it was supposed to be, just advice on the music industry. And then I played her like a third of a song, and she sat there very, very silently, which was terrifying. And she said to come back to her in 2 months with 5 songs. And so I did. I came back to her in 2 months with 6 songs and played them for her. And she just said, we have to record these. So we scheduled to record in my 2 weeks of spring break, which was about like a month away. And when I came back to record those 6 songs, I had 7 more. So in 2 weeks, basically, we recorded 13 songs. And we've been doing this journey ever since.
Yeah, and that is so fantastic. It's so incredible, like how fate works and stuff like that. So, what would you say your biggest reward has been? What would you say that is? I mean, you've performed on the Ellen Show, you've performed with Dolly Parton, you've performed with an artist I absolutely love in Brandi Carlile. What would you say your biggest accomplishment is?
That's a really good question. I think that some of my favorite moments in music have been, those amazing performances, Brandi Carlile, the Ellen Show, singing with Dolly Parton. I mean, even my first show at Largo when I was 12 and a half. But I think my biggest accomplishment, the thing I'm most proud of myself for, is the ability to listen to my own music. When I started out on this journey, I was very dissatisfied with everything I produced. And I hated to listen to myself sing or even talk, listen to my own music. I couldn't do it. I hated it. But Linda, one of the things that she has really shown me is the importance of self-confidence in your own music, in your own abilities, in your magic. So I'm able to now appreciate my own music, and that is something that I never thought I would be able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, that's such a big deal because I notice a lot of people can be their own worst critic and stuff like that. So do you feel like sometimes when you make music, sometimes you feel like you get in your own way, like when you make music?
Oh, definitely. I think, sometimes I get too much in my own head about what I should be writing. Sometimes the way that I write it comes in waves, the kind of style that I like to write in. And so often I'll find myself writing a song that's in a very similar style to what I've just written. And I stop myself, and it's terrible because some of my best songs have come out of struggles with my own psyche. Definitely. I think, as with all artists, I have a dark side too. And I battle with myself every day. I always want to be the best ultimately. And so it's hard sometimes to just tell that half of myself to shut up so that I can make something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was gonna say that could be kind of a tough battle and all that. So what is one thing as a musician that you feel like, hey, I'm pretty damn good at this? And what is one thing as a musician where you're just like, I really need to get better at this?
I think the thing I'm proudest of myself in the sort of sections of musicality is melodic structure. I am always proud of my melodic structure, and sometimes I get repetitive. Like sometimes I have just groups of songs that sound exactly the same, but that's just what I needed to write at that time. But I am always proud of my melodic structure. I think the thing that I can work on is, and I've been trying to work on, is sort of being less wordy, the whole less is more thing, because I have a lot to say. And but I think my default is to, when I have something powerful that I want to say, is to say as much as I can. But that's often counterproductive. So what I've really been trying to work on is maximizing the impact of every word, and then you don't need as many. And I think that some of the best songs have the most space. Some of the songs with the best lyrics have very few lyrics. So that's something that I've been really trying to work on.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I was going to say, do you find that to be even more of a challenge given, like, we've had civil unrest this year, we've had COVID-19, we've had so much going on in this world.
Yeah.
Do you find that to be even more of a challenge when you have that pen and paper and when you write lyrics?
Yeah, definitely. Because, you know, I'm 16. I can't vote. I can't, like, in a lot of ways, I'm not seen outwardly as someone who can make a real impact on the things that are going on. But I have things to say. I have opinions. I want to feel like I can make a change in the only way that I know how, and that's music. But, you know, sometimes you sit down, you know, to write a song. Like, I've tried this before. I tried to write a song about COVID, about how you can't see people, you know, you had to say goodbye without knowing it. Like, there were last days that you saw someone, you didn't know it was going to be your last day seeing them. And that's a really hard topic to talk about.
It sure is.
And I tried writing it, and it just, I couldn't find a way to say it that convoluted the idea. I think it may take some time for me, for the idea to kind of settle. And, you know, this sounds bad, but in a way to desensitize myself to the feeling before I can write a song that is truly impactful, because I think now it's just too raw. And so it has been hard to write about current events recently, just because there's so much to say. And, you know, like, I think Black Lives Matter is also a great example of this. Like, you know, I'm a privileged white girl, and I want to be an ally. I want to, you know, promote anti-racism. I want to feel like I'm making a difference, because as a person of privilege, it's my duty to actively go against the systemic racism that's in our country.
Oh, preach
but
it.
how do you put that in a song, you know? And I'm trying, and I have tried, and I will continue to try until I get it right, but it definitely is really, really difficult.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I kind of feel like I've done a lot of self-reflection lately and stuff like that. And is there, like, when I self-reflect, sometimes I go in the gym and work out, sometimes I get out my camera and just do some photography. What are some things that you do when, let's say, you're not in the mood to write songs? What do you like to do just to kind of have those moments of reflection?
I really like to walk, so I walk as much as I can. I also like to talk to people. You know, my sister and my boyfriend, they have really cultivated these incredibly safe spaces for me to say what I feel without fear that if it comes out wrong, that it'll be misunderstood.
Sure.
So walking and talking, honestly, and just sometimes, you know, sort of being in nature, I guess. Like, I went to the botanical gardens recently with my boyfriend, and just, you know, sort of being in that incredibly natural setting, I think, which I definitely haven't been getting enough of, being cooped up in my house. I think that it really helps to kind of cleanse my mind. It kind of shows you that some of the simplest and most natural things in life are the most beautiful. So
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say is the biggest lesson 2020 has taught you?
That's a good question. I think, and this is incredibly cliche, and I'm sure that I'm not alone in this sentiment, but I think 2020 has definitely taught me that I'm better than I thought I was in every way. You know, smarter than I thought I was, and stronger than I thought I was, and more determined than I thought I would ever be. You know, I have been pushed to my limit in a lot of different ways this year. But I have made myself proud, and even that in itself, making myself proud, being able to be proud of myself, never thought I would be able to do that, in all honesty. So I think I have exceeded my own expectations this year.
Yeah, that is so cool. And look at you. I mean, you've released a video that already that's on its way to getting 300,000 views on YouTube, and tons of listens on Spotify. And So I kind of want to go back to the question with Ellen and Brandi Carlile and Dolly Parton, and what are I can't imagine sitting under their learning tree. Well, naturally, Ellen's not a musician, but she's an entertainer nonetheless. What are some things that what are a couple of takeaways that you had? What are a couple of things that they taught you when you sang with them and performed on their show?
Dolly was just amazing. I mean, everything that you would hope she would be and more. I mean, she was coming into the studio to sing with me and, you know, talking to me about how we're not that different and, you know, encouraging me, nurturing me. She's just the kindest. And because, you know, the song that we recorded together, I did an arrangement of Here You Come Again. She sang with me on it, obviously, and that went into the soundtrack and in the movie for Dumplin', which is a Netflix movie with Danielle McDonald. And so I went to the premiere, as did Dolly. And so, you know, I show up at the premiere and I walk the red carpet and I'm down at the end and I see Dolly come on the carpet at the back at the beginning. And so she sees me and waves me over and starts taking photos with me, you know, puts her arm around me and just poses with me. And all the press, they were all like, get the girl out of the photo. And Dolly just took my hand and walked away. And I mean, she's just amazing. And so I think from her, you know, don't get me wrong, she's crazy, but in the best possible way, And so I think from her, I kind of learned that there's, I think, a little bit of a misconception that you kind of have to become, to a degree, self-centered when you have that level of fame. But she is just, the humility is baffling. So I think that really taught me something about fame, and that it isn't always as corrupting as it's made out to be. And from Brandi Carlile, it's sort of a similar thing. I mean, she was just like a normal person. She just talked to me like she was a normal person, and like I was equal to her. And she, you know, we did a duet at the Great American Music Hall, and we were backstage practicing. We practiced it once backstage and once for soundcheck, and that was it. And then we went on stage. But we were back there, and, you know, she was so receptive to my ideas and she respected them. And, you know, to see the music industry, which can be cutthroat, as a community, as she did, I think that taught me something too. And as far as Ellen goes, and I know that, you know, she's been the center of a lot of negative attention recently. And I obviously can't speak to any of that because I never worked for her. What I can say is that performing on a show like that has so many viewers, I think that it was that moment that I kind of realized that there is something in me that, you know, I can do this. That was sort of what I took away, was I can do this. Like if I choose this, that this is really it, then I can do it. And so yeah.
Yeah, and I was gonna say you definitely can do it because you have all the potential in the world to make it, and you're already getting there as far as I'm concerned. And I was gonna say I kind of want to talk about Trampled Flowers too. And you released that music video last year, and take yourself into that song and to Unorganized Crime. What is the biggest like lesson you learned or anything like that you want to share? Or steps of growth, I should say.
I think Trampled Flowers, we just kind of released because we liked it and we felt like it was right. But I don't think that it was representative at all of my writing style. You know, my writing style is a lot darker. It's less pop. It's more emotional. It's deeper. And so I think after that, and, you know, that music video with Mark Romanek was incredible. And he just turned the song into something completely different and more emotional and more complex. And I couldn't be more thankful for him. But between then and releasing Unorganized Crime, I think the main thing that I really learned was that I was done. I needed to release something that was really and truly mine. Something that looked like me and sounded like me and and tasted like me, and that's what unorganized crime is. So I think that's why it added an extra layer of excitement for me when releasing Unorganized Crime, because I knew that this was the first time I was putting something out that was really, truly mine.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is next for Willa Amai?
Well, just recently the acoustic version of Unorganized Crime came out. We just released that.
Nice.
On November 30th, I believe. I will be releasing a Christmas song, actually. And then we will take a little break until the new year, and then I have a whole album that is ready. So that will be coming out too. You will see that very soon. And I'm really excited.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm so excited to hear the new album, and sometime I would love to follow up with you and talk
Yes,
about the album and stuff.
yeah,
So,
100%.